can't you clap? Is that some medical thing going on?
I just
Okay, cool. I'm just fixated on that.
No, it's just,
Hello guys and welcome to another episode of
Mentor Me Mondays.
Alrighty, before we kick off and get our guest expert to shoot down the line and give us pearls of wisdom, introducing the team, starting with the lady on my far left.
Oh, hey guys, it's Wendy. I was just trying to figure out my left from right then when Johnny was introducing me. So it took me a minute or two, but yeah, it's Wendy here with you guys once again.
Alright, and we have,
what's good, everyone? It's Rejoice.
and of course myself, Johnny. Yeah, so we have with us guys for another episode on Mentor Me Monday, our expert psychologist, Jamie Asher. Yay.
Welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, all good, Jamie. Yeah. So we got a lot of feedback from your last episode.
Surprised you had me on again.
Yeah, the guys thoroughly enjoyed it. So today's topic is underlined emotions. It's very broad, it's very vast, but we got to start at some point, right? Emotions. Everybody has them, everybody deals with them. If you're married, you know what I'm talking about. If you got children, you know what I'm talking about. If you're employed, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not employed, you know what I'm talking about. If you're rich and if you're poor, you get my point. Emotions, whether you're young or old, teenagers, Gen Z, Gen Z know about
We
emotions.
didn't have to go there, but
Okay, but no judgment here. We're gonna give it. We're gonna give it over to Wendy, who's got the first question, if you may.
All right.
Around emotions.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us, Jamie, again.
Pleasure.
So the first thing that I want to know is, so as Johnny covered, there's so many different forms of emotions and everybody basically has it. But what would be the biggest misconception about emotions?
Well, I think from talking to people in my in my community online, or listening to them, or even speaking to clients, and just like speaking to or listening to people speak about it in the community, because there's a lot of people that speak about mental health in the community, whether they're qualified or not, but just listening to the same kind of stuff. It's a lot of people will say this person is doing this wrong, or they feel wrong for feeling like this, or that person shouldn't have reacted that way.
Yep.
Why are you feeling like that? Well, I think the biggest misconception is that how we react, our initial feeling to something, is wrong, and that's I don't want to say that's not right, but that's kind of off. That's off track, because the way we feel, whether it's angry about something, sad about something, guilt, whatever it is, all those emotions, even if they're the lower ones that kind of don't feel great at the time, it's right.
Okay.
It's our initial reaction to something is right. It doesn't mean we have to act on it. But it means that is like even intuitively, like our body and our mind have gone, they've seen this thing, whatever it is, whatever something's happened at home, at work, whatever it is in our life, and our reaction to it, whatever that is, just don't have to change that reaction.
Okay.
But it's more people's what they do with that afterwards that can be wrong. Okay. So like if you're sad about a breakup, sad about losing your job or whatever, like that's not wrong. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's like what we do after that, right? And so I guess my best example would be, say, if someone has annoyed you at work, you come home angry, or you come home and the kids are, they're tearing the house up and you're getting angry. Okay, getting angry is one thing, getting annoyed is one thing, feeling angry is one thing, but then being angry and you then you're losing your and yelling at your wife, yelling at your kids, or threatening to hurt them, or whatever it may be, then that is not right.
Okay.
And then it just means that there's a whole bunch of things behind emotions as well. But how you're feeling isn't wrong.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's the misconception, I think. And then like kind of where we'd go on from there is, it leads into other things.
So there's the emotion of feeling, and then the emotion of what you act out on.
Yeah, you're acting,
Okay.
how you act after feeling a certain
Yeah.
way. And that there's look, it doesn't take a psychologist to know this stuff, but it's like a lot of people try and push their feelings away as well. If they're sad or angry, those lower feelings, they'll, distract themselves, alcohol, gaming, which we still can't understand. As adults, we don't understand. Johnny and I cannot understand adults gaming, but if you do it, that's cool. If you love it, that's cool. If we're in a world war one day and you save us, cool. But we still can't figure it out. It's look, if you distract yourself, if you drink, or gamble, whatever it is, it's like these things aren't always bad, but if they're bad in a way where it's like distracting you from dealing with those feelings, and you never end up sorting it out. There's one thing about us as humans, it will always come up again. Yeah. Whether it's in a month's time, a year's time, whatever it is. So if you don't deal with it, well then it will show again in some way. Maybe not in the same situation, but a similar situation. So, for example, if you've got, I go back to anger a lot. It's a pretty common one. I think both males and females can deal with that, or they experience it in some way, as in from other people. So, if you have a tendency to get angry, is it because you have a tendency to get angry, or you have something going on in here that's making you angry, and you're just using that as a way to let your frustration out? You know? And so if you're not dealing with that thing, whether it's a thing from your childhood, a thing from, recently now you're annoyed that someone is treating you a certain way, and is it really the kids, what your children, what they're doing because they're not listening to you? Is it really them that's making you angry? Or are they just helping you manifest how you feel because you can say, that's making me angry? You know what I mean? And so, there could be things that things that happen in our childhood, or things that, as I said, happened recently. But even still, right? So going back to anger, so anger, guilt, sadness, shame, they're like probably the toughest ones to sit with and deal with, but probably the ones that we see most commonly. And why it's good to understand emotions, particularly say, going back to anger. Anger when we were children, commonly, not in every household and not every person, but commonly, from my story I've spoken about before, I was an angry child, and it didn't mean I was smashing things or anything like that, but I like outwardly would let people know, you're not giving me what I need. All right. Okay. So using that, and that's called the unmet needs. All right. So an angry child will act out or do what they can to get their needs met emotionally, physically, whatever it may be. All right. So that's what happens. That's what happened then. But imagine if that person, that man, that female or whatever, never grew up to learn another way. So what they've done is they've turned into a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old who just gets angry when they're not getting needs met because they never realised there's this transition period from you're a child who needs to get their needs met by others. When you're an adult, you don't get your needs met by others. But you've not learned that when I'm angry, something is missing. But that thing is missing isn't from other people. If I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not eating healthy, I'm not exercising, if I'm whatever it is, I'm not taking time to relax or meditate, whatever the hell it is, however you do, take time for yourself, it's going to come out as anger. And if you haven't understood that there's unmet needs, people kind of have to understand that as an adult, or after maybe teenage years, whatever it is, if you're getting angry, that's on you. 100%. That is on you, but not on you that it's your fault. It's just like there's some things that you can do to get those needs met.
So is it fair to say, to use the words that when I'm feeling some kind of emotion, I must just sit with it?
Yeah, that's the thing. To first of all, sit with it to kind of see what it is. Is it you don't have to go, oh, this is anger, this is this. It's just like sit with it to what people will have the ability to sit with it if they have some kind of regulation. When people get angry and they fly off the handle, that's obviously not sitting with it. But it's like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling sad all the time? And obviously if you're feeling sad for a long consistent time, you might need to speak to someone, or at least a friend or family member, or at least a psychologist, counsellor, doctor, whoever. But sometimes you can sit with it for a day or two, and you might get clearer on it. Don't try and push it away, whether it's anger or sadness, whatever it is. If it's low, sit with it, but still get up and go to work. Sit with it, come home and still play with your kids how you can. That's the struggle as humans. A lot of people don't do that. But a lot of people also don't realise that they have the ability to do that. Because imagine when you were a child, and I will go back to childhood a lot, maybe not tonight or today, but I will always, because a lot of people will learn how to be human when they're a child, all right? So imagine when you had something going on and it made you sad, or it made you angry, whatever it may be, and you were never supported through it. So that emotion was scary. So when that arises as an adult, you just push it away. I don't like that feeling. But imagine if you kind of realise, hang on, I'm an adult now, I can handle this. All right, that's after 12 years of therapy, doing this, being in psychology work and all that, for me to figure that out. But people can be like that. There's no feeling like that that is going to destroy you. It's not going to break you if you understand that, hey, I can handle this. I might not know an answer for it, but look, it's just a feeling right now. It's not controlling my body. You know, like I can just learn to sit with it.
There's a thing that I experienced. I think I don't know if it marries or dovetails with the idea of sitting with what you're going through. So anyway, when I was still a kid, so I would have been maybe 6 years old or something. I don't know, living with my grandmother, and I think it would be like windy nights and all that, where you got the leaves, like the tree branches blowing and scratching on the roof and making all of these sounds and just weird things. And I think my grandmother would have sensed that maybe I was scared or whatever the case is. And like the initial reaction as a child when I'm in fear, and I think this is most kids, they always hide. They'll hide under the table, behind the couch, under the blankets, because what they don't see, they feel maybe it's not really there. And so my grandmother told me to never ever do that. She made me do the opposite. She's like, look, it's dark, it's weird, and whatever the case is. She like legit made me come out of bed and sit in the dark, you know, and just for a few, to me, felt like minutes. I don't think it was like minutes. It would have been maybe a minute, but definitely a few seconds. Made me just sit in the dark and just observe, hear what was the noises, and like kind of think about it intelligently to be like, look, that's not a ghost. It's a scratch from the branches on the roof. That's what that is. That noise is just the door creaking. And it was like stuff like that she'd let me like just kind of go through with my senses. And as a result of that, like I weren't ever afraid of the dark, because I knew like the reality of what it was. It weren't what I thought it was. It was like, nah, dude, it's just natural. It's just the world moving on around you.
I think that's exactly what it is. You were supported in that time. It's not that your grandmother had said, "Oh, come here, I'll protect you." It's like face this thing that isn't real. You know, obviously, if there was someone out there, she would have, taught you accordingly and what you need to watch out for. But if it's, the things like that, you were supported through it. So, like, imagine, like, if that wasn't there, what that could have turned into. What your child brain would have turned that into. But very similarly, like, if we were sad or imagine it's like it's at a similar time if you were sad but didn't get supported through it, and you don't have to be fully supported through it, nurtured through it like that. It's just like, hey, like everything will be okay. Or even if you witness as a child other people being sad and moving through it, then as an adult that kind of emotion isn't as scary. Because particularly a lot of men don't like that feeling of being down and sad, so they'll either push it away or they'll jump to anger or whatever. But the thing is, when we're not allowing ourselves to sit with it, or at least help it pass, because it's got a cycle. There'll be a cycle of that feeling. It comes for a reason, to show us something, to show us a feeling, or to make us look in a certain direction of why are we doing this, why are we feeling like this. But if we push it away, we never get to see what direction we're supposed to look. That
makes sense.
And so sit with that. And if just say, for example, going back to you feeling low and sad, if that means for men or women like cry. Like just for a moment you've got to be vulnerable, but then I spoke about this with you in the car the other night. After vulnerability comes strength again.
Don't stay vulnerable.
Yes.
Sit with it, don't stay in it.
And this is another misconception I should have spoken about before, that men feeling or people feeling vulnerable is weakness. You need that vulnerability to go through that cycle, to be vulnerable in the middle and then go back to strength again. And after you've allowed yourself to feel vulnerable, you'll be stronger than you were before. And you'll have clearer thinking and all that kind of stuff as well. So that's the other misconception, that feeling vulnerable is weak.
Yeah.
If anything, it's being brave and courageous enough to go, no, I'm going to feel this and I'm going to get stronger. So it's actually get stronger.
That makes sense.
Big misconception though.
So so once we've actually we've sat with it, right? Now we want to use those emotions that we've had for some sort of direction.
Yeah.
Right.
So similarly to what I was saying before, it can take a little bit of understanding, whether it means you talk to someone or you're reading a book, podcast, and you're doing your own kind of research. You don't have to see a specialist like me. But certain emotions for people will generally correlate with something, all right? But not everybody. Someone might be angry about one thing compared to someone being sad about it. But generally, on average, say being angry will mean that there's an injustice somewhere. You're feeling that you're not being given something that maybe you deserve, or there's something missing, and you're trying to. You might be trying to convey that in a relationship, but you don't know how to. So some people just get angry rather than talking about with their partner, hey, I really wish we were doing this, or we used to do this, or whatever it may be. Kind of rather than talking it through calmly and I guess intellectually, they let emotions out. But the feeling is something is missing. But we have the tools to get what we were missing. We don't have to get angry. Or it's not we don't have to get angry. We can just use that initial feeling of emotion and then go, oh, okay, I know what to do. This is. It takes time. I'm not saying anyone can do this overnight. But say sadness. What could sadness be in people? They could be sad. They could be feeling sad about what they, a loved one passing, or maybe.
Failure.
Or failure, absolutely. Or even they could have been thinking about what they. I even experienced this for a bit. Like I started to become more compassionate about who I was as a child, rather than pushing it away. I'm like, oh yeah, that really sucked, didn't it? And I actually had to feel sad for me because no one really had, and there was something missing in that process. But even guilt, what do we feel if we're feeling guilty? What are we feeling guilty for? Is it something that we have actually done and we can do something about, or is it just our perception? We need to kind of question it. It's like and shame. Shame is kind of known as the hardest thing to sit in. It's the most debilitating emotion we can have, all right? But it's even that. Why am I feeling shame?
Yes.
Have I done something to feel shame? And maybe you have. But then what can we do about it?
Okay.
All right, and I guess this has just come up last week with someone. I was speaking to a parent, and a parent of one of the kids in the community I work, and he said he'd felt shame about what I guess the experience of the environment he'd brought the kids up in, even though he'd done his best. I'm like, okay, that gives you a good indicator of the shame. Shame can go, okay, this is what you've done. And some people just sit with that and they'll go, I feel shame for the rest of my life for what I gave my kids. But what if that feeling of shame said, not so much that you did that, but what if the feeling of shame was that you've got an answer and you're not doing anything with it? Or so rather than being, I put them through this, it's like, but what am I doing about it now? If you're not doing anything about it now, that shame will not move. So what if the feeling of shame isn't that you did that, but it's to let you know there's something that could be done now?
You need to do something about it.
So that don't get me wrong, that is advanced. But I don't mean that you can't do it, but it's like if people can't quite grasp what I'm meaning, then it's okay. Maybe you will one day, or a little bit of work through what I'm talking about. But there's generally a reason, or if the feeling we're getting will generally mean a direction we probably need to go in. And if you don't know, that's fine. We can, there's plenty of different ways: books, podcasts, YouTube channels, whatever it may be, or specialists, as I said. But it's not an accident the way you're feeling. The way our brain, we're probably a lot smarter than what a lot of us think we are.
That's true.
But it's the mistakes that we make after feeling that way. Do we push it away, or do we try and get our needs met by being forceful?
Okay.
Cool. So that's kind of that was about directions. I hope that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So can emotions affect our actions, and how much of it should?
So yes, it definitely can, and kind of like what I was talking about before. So how do we feel, and then what are we doing with it? So like, you know, just say for example, I'm feeling angry about this thing, whether it's at home, at work, or relationship, whatever it may be. If we kind of we've sat with it, and then intuitively we've realised, you know, maybe I need to kind of sit with my wife or as a co-worker, what it would be. But then every time we're near them, we get angry and we're like,
just
like,
see your face, and I'm like,
do those actions match what we actually need? Or do they, you know, and if we know that those actions don't match what we need to get anywhere positively or, you know, meaningfully, well then nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
You know, but also there's also, I guess, I forgot about another misconception. So a lot of people, this is just a small one, but it's a bit of a bugbear for me. So you know how a lot of people love what are they called, affirmations.
Yep.
All right. So you could read 1,000 affirmations a day. But if you make one positive action, you'll blow those affirmations out of the water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So because those actions,
action,
you know, affirmations are easy to read. You don't have to actually do anything. People think it's like I'm just gonna just bring this cool stuff into my life by reading positive things.
Yeah.
That's not how life works.
You need to actually take a step into action.
And I'll give you one positive action. All right. One positive action could be, if you're feeling sad, you still get up and go to work on time. You still go to bed at the right time. You still do self-care. So that's a positive action that is really hard. Without not really knowing the answer, but knowing maybe the answer might come one day. Yeah, so, you know, it's like pushing through and doing the hard thing. Somewhere, just maybe in your little box, your little square that you know the answers to. Yeah. And as I said, doing those self-care things, or still being nice to your kids or your partner, or giving time to them even though you might be stressed. They're little like immediate hard things, and you start doing those, the answers will come after that. All right. So that's what the actions. People can have those affirmations if they want, and I'll take the actions any day.
That makes so much sense. Yeah. So another tricky question. This is, of course, I was just what you call perusing through my iPad from the audience, a few of the questions that they've got for us. So the one that stands out, somebody's written here.
Am I single? No, I'm married.
Yeah, he's taken, guys. He's spoken for. So the one question that they have here is, this person often watches that show. I think it's an American show. I think it's on YouTube now, or there's anyway, I forget what channel it's on. So it's called My 600 Pound Life, right?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of it.
Yep. So it's like obese people. So it talks about the common statement made by them is, I'm an emotional eater. Like, is that a thing?
Well,
and I've heard, I've heard a couple of ladies, I'm not going to say where, I've heard a couple of ladies talk about this emotional eating thing. I was like, I don't know. Let's ask Jamie. Okay, cool.
There is things attributed to that, okay? So it doesn't mean that people, when they're an emotional eater, it means when they feel a certain emotion, they have to eat.
Yep.
I mean, it might make them feel more likely to eat and feel hungry.
Yep.
Some people can also feel the opposite. Some people don't want to eat anymore when they feel certain emotions. So it's very dependent, all right? I once read this, watched this great YouTube video on this kind of topic, right, where there's differences. I hope this might answer it a bit, where I'll have to give you two answers that will answer it hopefully clearly. Yep. So when it comes to, say, stress state, which, you know, can be brought on by emotions, some people, go back to, there's a certain part of their brain where they go, very kind of old thinking, so more like kind of caveman kind of time thing. Imagine thousands of years ago, all right? So when we were generally worrying about things, a lot of it had to do with either food, or is this kind of animal going to kill me, or whatever it may be, or we're going to get kicked out of the group. So there's a part of our brain that has not evolved from that fear. So when it fears things, so a fear from, say, a thing at work that turns on the stress state, it kind of thinks that stress state is just as bad as what it was thousands of years ago.
Okay.
All right, and if you can imagine that one of the things that a lot of people would have done, men and women, it doesn't really matter, what they would have done is, if something's going to happen, we're going to run out of food, well, we're gonna eat what we've got, you know, before someone comes, you know, like it's a state of thinking. But other people might, you know, there's also other ways of when people get stressed. You know what they do? They go out and they have a whole. They can get promiscuous.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like because it's a stress thing to I might not be alive or around much longer. So what am I going to do? But the thing is to understand about that. So I understand the emotion. So the emotional anything you were talking about is does that emotion have to cause you to be in a stress state?
Yeah,
the answer is no.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
Okay, but if you're kind of dysregulated for a whole bunch of reasons and you don't take care of yourself, chances are anything's going to set you off pretty easily.
Okay.
And you go in that stress state, who knows what you could do. You might be someone who stores, hoards food, doesn't eat heaps of food, eat things you don't want to do. That's why we like chocolates and all that kind of stuff, because they're so calorie dense. Yeah. It's not just because they're tasty. Our brain goes, heaps of calories in here. Yeah. If you don't get any more food for a while, this would be great. You know? So there's you kind of have to question sometimes why we're doing it. Don't get me wrong. This is where I will say I am not perfect. So this year with more hectic things going on, I've put on a few kilos as well. Obviously, I still look fantastic. No, I don't. I feel like no, I don't. But it can happen to everyone, even if I'm aware of this stuff. You know. Wow. And with that person as well that you're talking about, there's definitely something underlying there.
Okay, so it's not just one thing, it's multiple.
No, but also, if you want to say, when I get angry, I'm an emotional eater, guess what? You're probably going to be an emotional eater.
Of course, yeah.
And this is probably a whole other topic as well, but everything serves a function. Everything that you're not getting over is serving a function for you.
I like that.
All right, it's like if you're anger and you like the feeling of control, well, that control is probably serving a function where you're like, no, I'm on top of things, but it's not really helping.
Yeah,
We've spoken about this before. Everything you do serves a function.
Yeah.
And then it's like trying to explore that a little bit. I won't go into that too much; it'll be too long of an episode. That'll be the next one. Actions are very powerful, and even if you don't know the answer, just a little positive action that might be hard. That's in your circle in your house. What can you do? What's hard? Do I get up early when I'm not feeling great, or do I, self-care? That's a good place to start. Yeah.
So
that's really good.
Closing moments. We're gonna ask the only Gen Z in the room, right? What was your takeaway?
Oh, shucks. My takeaway from this. I feel like we always end these episodes and I have a million more questions that I need answering. Or I've realized in the friendships and relationships that I'm just seeing patterns and hey, that actually is happening. So my takeaway is to work on my actions once I have felt my emotion, but do not dwell.
Okay, cool.
Hey everyone, so if you've enjoyed our channel, you can support us by liking, subscribing, purchasing some merch. You can find it all down in the links below. We really look forward to hearing from you guys and see you next week. What
did you learn?
What did I learn? Wow. For me, I think the importance was actions too. So we can sit with our emotions, we can feel what we're feeling, but you need to take a step and do something out of that. Yeah.
Okay, fair.
You can't stay there forever.
My takeaway from it, I want to say thank you again to Jamie. My takeaway from it is the sit with it. I think oftentimes when people get some kind of emotion, we tend to just do the quick hot potato type style and handball it and get rid of it. But I think sitting with it kind of allows the process to continue and it goes around and then there's complete transformation. But you've got to sit with it, own it, know what's going on. And I love it. It's good.
Okay. Thanks for having me.